In 2007, Nokia sold nearly 500 million phones. They had 41% of the entire global mobile market. Samsung had 14. Motorola had 12. Apple had 0. Nokia was not just winning. Nokia was the game. And then, in less than 3 years, they went from the most dominant phone company on earth to a company that literally could not give its products away. The speed of that collapse has almost no parallel in modern business history. You're watching the fallen empire. Nokia started as a paper mill in 1865. A Finnish mining engineer built a wood pulp mill on the banks of the Nokian Virta River. The company that would one day put a phone in every pocket on Earth began by making toilet paper and rubber boots. For the next century, Nokia was a sprawling industrial conglomerate that made everything from tires to televisions. But in the early 1990s, Nokia made a bet that changed everything. The new CEO, Jorma Ollila, believed mobile phones were not a niche product for businessmen. They were going to become a consumer product for everyone. In 1992, he made the radical decision to sell off nearly everything else and go all in on mobile phones. Rubber boots, gone. Televisions, gone. Paper, gone. Finland's largest company betting its entire existence on a product most people still considered a luxury. And here is where it gets insane. He was right. The Nokia 1011, released in 1992, was one of the first mass-produced GSM phones. But the real breakthrough came in 1998 with the Nokia 5110. It was cheap, nearly indestructible, and it had Snake. That game alone may have sold more phones than any marketing campaign in history. The 5110 turned Nokia from a technology company into a cultural brand. Everyone had one. Your mom had one. Your taxi driver had one. People in rural villages in Africa and India who had never had a landline suddenly had a Nokia in their pocket. By 2000, Nokia was the 5th most valuable brand on Earth, ahead of Mercedes, ahead of Intel, ahead of Disney. Its market capitalization hit over 200 billion euros. Nokia alone represented 4% of Finland's entire GDP. One company, 4% of a nation's economy. Entire Finnish towns existed because of Nokia. But here is the detail that makes everything that follows so devastating. Nokia had a smartphone before anyone else. In 1996, the Nokia 9000 communicator had a QWERTY keyboard, email, fax, and web browsing. This was 11 years before the iPhone. Nokia was not behind. Nokia was a decade ahead. They had the technology, the market share, the brand, the engineering talent. They had everything, and they still lost. The answer starts with Symbian. Nokia co-founded this operating system consortium in the early 2000s. For that era, it worked. The N95, released in 2007, had GPS, a 5-megapixel camera, Wi-Fi, and a music player. On paper, it was better than the original iPhone in almost every spec. But here is what Nokia failed to understand. Specifications do not matter if the experience is terrible. Symbian was clunky, inconsistent, and felt like using a computer from 1997. Nokia knew this. Internal memos show engineers were begging management to build a modern, touch-based operating system. They had working prototypes, but Nokia's management was addicted to volume. Every decision was filtered through one question: will this help us ship more units this quarter? The company that once bet everything on mobile phones was now too afraid to bet on the future of mobile phones. And then Steve Jobs walked onto a stage in San Francisco, January 9, 2007. The iPhone. Nokia's leadership was dismissive. No physical keyboard. 2-megapixel camera. No 3G. On every traditional spec sheet, Nokia's phones were superior. Nokia's chief strategist called it a niche product for technology enthusiasts. But Apple was not building a better phone. Apple was building a pocket computer that happened to make calls. The entire paradigm had shifted, and Nokia was measuring the new world with old rulers. Within 18 months, every Nokia phone suddenly felt ancient. Nokia's response was catastrophic. Instead of building one great platform to compete with iOS, They fragmented. They had Symbian for mass market. They acquired Trolltech and started building memo. Then they merged memo with Intel's Moblin to create MeGo. They were simultaneously developing Symbian touch variants. At one point, Nokia had 4 different operating system strategies running in parallel, each with its own team, its own roadmap, and its own political faction inside the company. The engineering talent was world-class. The organizational chaos was lethal. Products were delayed, launches were botched. The N97, supposed to be Nokia's iPhone killer, shipped in 2009 with a resistive touchscreen when every competitor had moved to capacitive, a buggy operating system, and a keyboard reviewers called unusable. It was supposed to save Nokia. Instead, it became a symbol of everything wrong. By 2010, Nokia's smartphone share had fallen from 50% to under 30% and dropping fast. The board fired the CEO and brought in Stephen Elop, a former Microsoft executive. On February 11, 2011, Elop sent what became known as the Burning Platform memo. He compared Nokia to a man standing on a burning oil platform, forced to choose between certain death by fire and a leap into freezing water. Then he announced his solution. Nokia would abandon Symbian and MeGo and adopt Windows Phone. Nokia's stock dropped 14% in a single day. Developers abandoned Symbian overnight. Nokia had killed its current platform before the replacement was ready. In the smartphone market, months are years. The Lumia line launched in late 2011. The hardware was beautiful, but Windows Phone had almost no apps, no Instagram, no Snapchat. Consumers chose phones based on ecosystem, not hardware. Nokia was building the best hardware for the worst ecosystem. By 2013, Nokia's smartphone share had fallen to 3%, from 41 to 3 in 6 years. On September 3, 2013, Microsoft announced it was acquiring Nokia's phone division for $7.2 billion. Stephen Elop returned to Microsoft as part of the deal, fueling conspiracy theories that the entire partnership had been engineered to weaken Nokia for a cheap acquisition. Whether or not that is true, the outcome was the same. The company that had put a phone in 4 billion pockets was sold for less than the value of its patents. Microsoft wrote off the acquisition almost entirely within 2 years. They laid off over 25,000 former Nokia employees. The Nokia brand on phones was licensed to HMD Global, a Finnish startup. The Lumia line was discontinued. Windows Phone was abandoned. The entire thing was a crater. Nokia still exists today as a telecommunications infrastructure company powering 5G networks worldwide. But it is not the Nokia that everyone remembers. The Nokia that mattered, the one that changed the world, the one that proved a phone could be for everyone. That Nokia died because it was too successful to believe it could fail. Subscribe for more. New episodes drop weekly. You're watching The Fallen Empire. New episodes every week.